have a n by n grid, one index, so you start at 1, you go to n. Wait, is n rows or n columns? N columns and n rows.
No.
So, okay, whatever, n by n room, right? And then in each of these coordinates, you have an integer in that coordinate. And what you're trying to figure out is if you start, if you have a grid like this, let's assume it is a 3 by 3 grid.
Yeah.
It'll be a number like this, 1, 2, 3.
Still water.
1, 2, 3. Why are you laughing? Okay, and then, for example, there is a, this is a bad example. There's a 3 here. So, starting from this square, you can take the number that is in this square, and you're able to go to any coordinate that is equal to its divisor. So 1 or 3 has 2 divisors, right? 1 and 3. So from this square, you're allowed to go to 1, 3 here, or you're allowed to go to 3, 1, right? So let's say if you had another number like 4, you can go to 1, 4, or 2, 2, or 4, 1. So what's in this square determines where you can hop to from this square. So where you can go next, right? And what the problem wants is starting from square 1, if it's possible to go to the most bottom right square. So it's 2 answers. You can get there or you can't get there. So basically, you do this with breadth first search or a variation of it. So it's more optimized. So you would obviously start at 1 first, and you would look at the number that is in 1, right? And you would need to get all divisors of the number. So for example, if this was 3, then you would have divisors 1 and 3, right? And these could be flipped because 1 and 3, 3 and 1 multiply up to the same things. So from this here, you can consider 2 coordinates, 3, 1 or 1, 3. Now, because we don't want to get caught into an infinite loop, we need to track which squares we have visited. So we say we start at 1 and we mark this square as visited. If you travel to another square that you have not visited, you travel there and you mark it as visited, so we don't get caught into any infinite loops or anything like that. So with that, we can use a data structure called a queue, which is how a real-life queue works. So let's say if you line up for pizza, the first person that lines up is the first person to get to buy the pizza, right? If you come at the very end of the line, you don't get to go first. You can't skip the line. So that is how a queue works. You add a coordinate to the queue, and then you add everything that it's connected to the end of the queue and mark them as visited. So an example might help. So with this example, the integer value you have in the first coordinate is 3, right? And then, okay, you have 2 things to consider, 1, 3, and 3, 1. At this point, you mark this thing as visited. So you say you have already visited this. If you come to it again, you'll ignore it. Then you consider 1, 3, and 3, 1. Since these are brand new nodes that you have not visited yet, then you say, okay, I'll add this to the end of my queue. So if you have your queue, this will go 1, 3, and then 3, 1. You will add this to the end of your queue and say, I have already visited these. Although you haven't been there physically, you say you have already visited them. So if any other node that you're adding, any other node you're traveling, before you travel to these nodes, you can make sure that you won't visit that node again. So you have 1, 3, and 3, 1 here, and now you can pop this node out from the front of your queue. So your queue contained 1, 1 at the start, and since you have already visited this node, you can get rid of it. So now you consider 1, 3, and 3, 1. So these 2 nodes will have their own respective values. So let's, for example, you have 9 here. 3 times 3 is 9, not 3 cubed is not 9. 3 times 3 is 9. So for example, if this was 9 and this was like 8 or something, right? So now you consider the value in these 2 coordinates respectively. So now your queue only contains 2 elements, 1, 3, and 3, 1. So you start from the first one. It doesn't matter which one you start at. You just look at, for example, 3, 1 first. So at 3, 1, you have 9. What are the divisors of 9? You can have 1, 9, 9, 1, or 3 and 3. And then this is just 3 and 3. Swapping them doesn't change anything. So now you look at where you can potentially go from this square. So you have 1 and 9. But the square is only 3 by 3, meaning you can't have 1 and 9. You can't go 9 out. There's no coordinate there. So you ignore this value. You do not need to care about this because it is outside of the bounds of our question. Same with 9 and 1. You do not have 9 rows, so you do not have to consider this. The last coordinate you can consider is 3, 3, which is the ending coordinate. Now, since this coordinate has not been visited, we say, okay, this is 3, 3. We mark this as visited. So, for example, this has something about like 4. You say this is visited, and you pop this to the back of the queue. Although this is your ending coordinate, so technically once you reach this point, you are able to stop. But for example, if you don't stop, you would add this, and then you have 4, and then you can delete this node. Then you will start considering the 8. You can have 8 is 1, 8, 8, 1, 2, 4, or 4, 2. From this, you cannot hop anywhere, because 1, 8 is outside of our bounds, 8, 1 is also outside of our bounds, 2, 4 is outside the bounds, and then 4, 2 are also outside the bounds. So this node would cause a dead end. Once you get here, you cannot leave anywhere else. So the valid solution, and then these can have some like other values, but the valid solution for this specific square would be starting at 3, hopping to 1, 3, which is 9, and then using this value to hop to the final coordinate. Once you get to the final coordinate, it does not matter how much stuff you have left in your queue or what is the integer coordinate at your final square, because you have already reached it, meaning your answer is yes. So with a normal breadth search, you would probably have to start here and check every single grid for values that you can hop to. So we can make 2 optimizations. First, you can find only all divisors of the coordinate you're at. So you don't have to look at 1, 2, because 1 times 2 does not multiply to 3. So you find all divisors of this. Furthermore, you only have to find up to the square root of this number. For example, if this number was something like 9, right? Wait, okay, that's a bad example. If it's like 16. Yeah, that was again messy. 16, right? Once you go up to the square root of a number, any other multiples is just all the multiples you have found reversed. So you have 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. Once you have reached the square root, everything else past that does not matter, because once you go past 4, 4, you're going to have 8, 2, 16, 1 again, right? So once you reach the square root, you do not need to check for any more factors. So you just need to reverse all the pairs that you have found. So when you check for the factors of this number, you have to go to the square root of it. So this is square root time, and you can flip the factors you have found to search for any other squares that you have not found and add them all to the queue that have not been visited. So once you do that, you can repeat this as long as the queue is not empty, and once you have searched, once this square has been visited, you know for sure you can reach it. And if your queue has become empty and this has not been marked visited, that means you cannot visit the ending square. That's pretty much it.
They said there were 2 optimizations.
Yes, the first optimization is you need to find the factors. The second observation you need to make is you only need to go up to the square root. If you look for every single factor, I think you TLE, because if you look for every single factor, it's like...
You solved it by looking for factors?
Yeah, from the front.
Aren't those both Steve? Isn't that only one?
Sometimes you do.
Because you only need to go up to square root, that's square root time, and then, what's like BFS?
Also store it.
Yo, you can also do like.
Yeah, I just pre-computed.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, thanks,
That's pretty
Ryan.
much it.
You should cap it. Yo,